All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to look at what actually happens when a seemingly insignificant $100 is invested intentionally. We'll be exploring the totally surprising mathematical and frankly psychological timeline of just one single monthly habit.
Think about the cash that just kind of vanishes from your account between the 1st and the 15th of the month. You know what I mean? It usually leaves without a traceable explanation, going to mediocre takeout you don't even remember eating, or maybe that streaming service you haven't logged into since 2019. It's just a series of small, thoughtless transactions that individually mean absolutely nothing, but collectively, they easily add up to $100. Now, I want to be super clear right out of the gate here. We are not talking about a windfall. We aren't looking at a $100,000 bonus, some lucky stock pick, or a massive inheritance. No way. We are focusing entirely on the hidden power of this single, mundane $100 bill and what happens when it goes somewhere intentional instead of just evaporating. So here is our roadmap for today. We're taking a chronological journey through your financial future, looking at 1, the $100 identity shift, 2, surviving the first test, 3, building a rate, 4, the compounding machine, and finally, 5, the 30-year reality. Let's start with section 1, the $100 identity shift. Our journey starts in month 1, and honestly, the physical mechanics here are surprisingly boring. Picture this, it's a random Tuesday evening, and you take exactly 20 minutes to knock out these simple actions. You open a brokerage account, you set an automatic transfer of $100 for the first of the month, you pick a total market index fund, and boom, you close the app. That's the whole shebang. The next morning, your life looks physically identical. Your coffee tastes the exact same, your commute takes just as long, nothing feels different. But here is where people wildly underestimate what just happened. You've actually just undergone a complete category transfer. Because before that Tuesday night, you were someone who intended to invest someday. After, you are an investor. Behavioral research is remarkably consistent on this point. Simply crossing that threshold and having an account with actual money in it is the single most reliable predictor of continued investment behavior. That initial identity shift is the real catalyst. Let's map out what to expect on this timeline, because I've got to be honest with you, the math in the early years is genuinely unimpressive. It is so much slower than the internet will tell you, but having realistic expectations for these milestones, that is exactly how you survive the long haul without throwing in the towel. Which brings us to section 2, surviving the first test. Fast forward to month 6. The market drops, because of course it does, and your nervous system hits its first major behavioral hurdle. Let's say the market dips 8% over 3 weeks. You've put in $600 so far, but your balance is showing $563. You've lost $37 on paper. Now, your nervous system, which literally evolved to treat loss as physical danger, freaks out. But the people who build real wealth, they choose to do nothing. They remind themselves they don't need this money for 30 years, and they just close the app. The people who fail let loss aversion convince them to sell and sit on the sidelines waiting for the quote-unquote right moment to jump back in. And the tragic part of that magical right moment never comes with a warning bell. JP Morgan found that missing just the 10 best trading days between 2003 and 2023 literally cuts your returns in half. And get this, most of those best days happen right after the absolute worst days. Sitting in cash waiting for stability guarantees you completely miss the recovery. In investing, doing absolutely nothing is often the hardest, but absolutely the most profitable action you can take. All right, section 3, building a rate. Now we're moving past the very beginning to see how this habit ripples into your wider life. By year 1, you've got $1,200 invested. At an average 7% return, you've made a measly $47. That's basically the cost of one decent dinner out. But your new identity is expanding. Because you're now someone who tracks a 7% return, you start spotting hidden costs everywhere. You finally notice that ridiculous 1.2% expense ratio in your 401k. You catch how high credit card interest is wiping out your gains. You cancel that $180 unused annual subscription. Your $100 habit has permanently leveled up your financial awareness. Then we hit year 5. You've got $6,000 invested. The compounding is finally getting visible. But watch out, because this is the danger zone. This is when lifestyle inflation tempts you to pause your contributions because you feel like, hey, I deserve a break. But pausing that $100 transfer for just 3 years doesn't just lose you $3,600. It robs you of all the compounding on that money for the remaining decades. A careless little 3-year pause turns out to be a $19,000 mistake. Seriously, don't touch the machine. Moving right along to Section 4, the compounding machine.
If you push through year 5 without hitting pause, we enter a completely different mathematical reality by year 10. By now, your monthly transfer isn't even discipline anymore, it's just a default setting. It leaves your account as automatically as rent. Notice how the ratio of your money is shifting here. You've contributed $12,000, but your balance is over $17,000. The market did 45% of the work this year. We're rapidly approaching the crossover point where your money is quite literally working harder than you are. Let's stretch this out to year 20. 2 decades of $100 a month means you've put in 24 grand out of pocket, but your balance? It's sitting at roughly $52,000. The market has generated $28,000 more than your total contributions. The math has completely flipped upside down. Your system is totally self-sustaining, growing every single year by more than you even put in. You're no longer the engine of your wealth. You're just the steward of a machine that you built.
And that brings us to our final stop, Section 5, the 30-year reality.
Let's step into year 30 and look at the unbelievable final destination of compounding over 3 uninterrupted decades. You've contributed $36,000 total, but your balance is sitting at an incredible $121,000. The market generated $85,000 of that. Think about that ratio for a second. For every single dollar you put in over 30 years, the market handed you $2.36 back. That is a 236% return on your contributions, all stemming from a decision made on a random Tuesday night that probably felt way too small to matter.
And just think about how this scales up if you bump up the input. $200 a month turns into almost $250,000. $500 a month? That becomes over $600,000. But the variable that matters the absolute most here isn't actually the dollar amount. It's the 30 years. Compounding needs time the exact same way a fire needs oxygen. It simply does not work without it. Time is the secret ingredient that produces results that scale massively faster than your inputs suggest they ever should.
But ultimately, the true return on investment here isn't just that $120,000 final balance. The real return is the profound shift in your identity. Think about it. In the early days, you checked your banking app at 3 a.m. out of sheer panic. But over the years, as your financial education grew right alongside your balance, that panic shifted. You now reach for your phone to check something that is growing, rather than nervously confirming something that's just standing still. That deep peace of mind is what a $100 monthly habit actually buys you. The $100 you invest this month isn't going to change your life this month. I mean, we know that, but it will fundamentally rewire the person making the decisions next month and the month after that. So, knowing that today's tiny action completely rewires your future self, are you going to let another $100 slip through the cracks this month, or are you finally ready to fund your future? Think about it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.